Researchers have come up with a way to determine if someone is lying. Find out the details here today on Jimmy Rants. JimmyRants.com is the website, and as always, you can engage live in the content. You got to go follow me right here on Instagram. It's Jimmy Rants over on Instagram, so go check it out, you guys. We do go Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. Eastern Time, right here on Instagram. We do simulcast in a few different places. We simulcast on my Facebook page over here. Thank you guys for being here. Also over on my YouTube stream. Get to live stream, you guys. I'm going to tilt the angle down on the camera just a little bit. Welcome, welcome. And then the brand new kid on the block is Twitch. So if you haven't heard of Twitch before, twitch.tv/JimmyMoreRants, because Jimmy Rants was already taken there. So twitch.tv/JimmyMoreRants. Or if you just download the Twitch app, that's what I'm live videoing from. So lots of ways to watch Jimmy Rants. Thank you all for being here today. If you missed the live, you can watch it on replay right here on the Jimmy Rants Instagram page. IGTV is where it goes there. We also put the past episodes up over on YouTube. Type in a keyword, Jimmy Rants. You will find the show. And speaking of YouTube, so I have a brand new podcast called One Step Deeper that I do with my best friend, Brittany Davis, and she and I have a brand new episode coming out, and YouTube just added this brand new feature called Premiere, so you can premiere new episodes of like your show or whatever. So we're premiering that today, you guys. If you want to watch it live, both Brittany and I will be on there. It gives you a chance to have a live chat with us while you're watching the episode number 4. And it's a very timely episode as well, all about how do you get along with these people if you don't really like them. And since a lot of you might be at family gatherings around people that you may or may not like, we thought that was a good topical one for this week. So 4 p.m. Eastern Time is when that's going to go live, the premiere. So go to YouTube. I was going to say go to JimmyRants.com. Don't do that. Go to YouTube, type in One Step Deeper, and then join us for the premiere at 4 p.m. Eastern Time. And now go to JimmyRants.com. That is the official website for this show. You can see all the past episodes there and everything about the show. Whew, that's a mouthful, you guys. But welcome in. Thank you for being here today. I have got a fantastic brand new episode of Jimmy Rants for you today, all about some new research. I love the research when it comes to nutritional health and things about health in general. And this research today is not about health at all. It's about psychology and behavior and how people think. And one of the things that I'm very fascinated about when it comes to psychology is why people feel the need to lie. Now, we all in our lives at some point or another have told a lie. We have said lies. Those of you that have children, you know the creativeness that you have to lie to them about specific things. And so I think it's socially acceptable that those kind of lies are going to happen. You also sometimes lie to your spouse and tell them that their hair looks good when it really doesn't look that good. Those of you that have Christmas presents coming your way this week from certain people you know you won't like, but you're going to be very grateful and thankful. Oh, I love this red polka dot tie, and you really don't. So those are all innocuous lies. But we also know those people who are pathological liars, like about everything. You know those people in your life? Like, I don't know about you, but those people grate me more than anybody. Like, I feel like there's kind of this unspoken broken of trusts when someone feels the need to constantly lie to you. And I don't know what it is about those people, but it grates on me pretty hard. I'm somebody who tries to live with integrity and truth. And so when someone doesn't, and they betray that trust, it kind of hurts, right? And so what do you do? So how do you identify if someone is lying to you? And now we have new research, which I have a paper here. I don't have the actual research paper, but I have a story about the research. This was published in inverse.com if you want to go look it up. And it's called Spotting a Liar Comes Down to One Psychological Trick. And now this is a really cool little technique, you guys, that you're going to learn about today, because the researchers are finding this works pretty much on anyone who you suspect might be lying to you. And of course, law enforcement officers are using this technique now in their interrogation. Various ones are starting to adopt this, but it's so simple. It's surprising it took this long to kind of get out there in the mainstream. And yes, if you're just joining us, we are about to go over an article all about some new research that identifies this thing called AIM, which is a technique for catching a liar. We're going to tell you what AIM means here in a minute, but let's get into the article. Most people lie occasionally. The lies are often trivial and essentially inconsequential, such as pretending to like a tasteless gift. We've all done that. But in other contexts, deception is much more serious, and it can have harmful effects on criminal justice. From a societal perspective, such lying like this is better detected than simply ignored and tolerated. And boy, is that right. I think we have become so tolerant of lying. Look at what they've done to us in 2020 with all the things they've told us about this so-called pandemic, and all the kind of back and forth messages and things like that. You can't both say wear a mask in 1 month and then the next month don't wear a mask and not be lying in one or the other. You can't both be saying staying at home will stop the spread and flatten the curve, and then when we don't stay at home, oh, you should have stayed at home, blah, blah, blah. And it's just so much kind of back and forth. And so we're seeing that play out even now in 2020 with the consequences of lying. Unfortunately, it is difficult to detect lies accurately. So the current ways that we detect lies include lie detector tests like a polygraph, which works by measuring anxiety levels in a subject while they answer questions. And this is now considered theoretically weak and of dubious reliability. Yeah, I remember watching, it was either a movie or a TV show where some guy was taking a polygraph. And in the polygraph test, he put a tack in his shoe. And every time he was asked a question, he would push his toe down on top of the tack, so it would create this false sense of anxiety. So you can fake that test. And if it's just based on anxiousness, there's people that are generally anxious all the time. How would you get, like, what's your name? It's Jimmy. But did you steal that whatever from the store? No. It would show the same, and so they'd be like, yeah, we don't know if he's lying or not, because it's all anxious. This is because, as any traveler who has been questioned by customs officials know, it's possible to be anxious even without feeling guilty. And yeah, most people that are being interrogated will be naturally anxious. So using a test like a polygraph that measures levels of anxiety, it's not a real reliable marker for determining truth or falsity. So researchers have tried to look for other ways. Now we have a brand new approach to spot liars based on interviewing techniques and psychological manipulation. These results were just published a few weeks ago in the Journal of Applied Research in Memory and Cognition. And so the technique is a part of a new generation of what's called cognitive-based lie detection methods. They're being increasingly researched and developed, and these approaches postulate that the mental and strategic processes adopted by people who are telling the truth during an interview differ significantly from that of liars. Listen to this, guys. This is really, really fascinating. If you ever wanted to know if someone you suspect is lying to you is actually lying or not, this Jimmy Rants today is going to change your life, because you're going to notice this and it's going to stick out like a sore thumb. By using these specific techniques, which I'm about to tell you about, all of the differences between people telling the truth and lying to you can be amplified and detected. So let's get to this AIM. AIM stands for Asymmetric Information Management, and it's a technique at its core designed to provide suspects with a very clear means to demonstrate whether they're innocent or guilty to the investigators by providing detailed information. Now listen carefully to this. Small details are the lifeblood of forensic investigations, and they can provide investigators with facts to check and witnesses to question. Importantly, longer, more detailed statements typically have clues in them to deception than short statements. Did you hear that? So when there's these long, drawn-out statements, it's more likely maybe they're deceiving than short statements. Essentially, the AIM method involves informing suspects of these facts. Specifically, interviewers make it clear that if they provide longer, more detailed statements about the event of interest, the investigator will be better able to detect if they're telling the truth or lying. For truth tellers, this is great news. You got nothing to hide. You're telling the truth. For the liars, though, it's not so good news. Indeed, research shows that when suspects are provided with these specific instructions to provide longer, more detailed statements about the event of interest, they behave differently depending on whether they're telling the truth or whether they're not telling the truth. Truth tellers typically seek to demonstrate their innocence and commonly provide a lot more detailed information in response to such instructions. So I guess it becomes the definition of give us detailed statements. Because if you're lying, you've got to make up a lot of details that don't exist because you're lying. But if you're telling the truth, you can tell details for days and you will always be consistent about those details. I think about the people who filled out affidavits for this election fraud that's happened. And a lot of those people have provided very detailed affidavits with all the things that they witnessed. And then when they were testifying in some of the state legislatures, they were given the same statements. And one lady made a very astute comment because she was being accused of making up details. And she said, look, I'm not lying because I have told you all of the things, and you come back tomorrow and ask me questions again, I'll tell it to you, and my story will not change because I'm not lying. And she's right. Like, your story doesn't change. You can give vivid details, but when you're lying, you got to make up some details. And then you have to remember those made up details, hoping beyond all hope that you get the details right. Are you seeing the picture here? In contrast, liars want to conceal their guilt. This means they are more likely to strategically withhold information in response to this AIM instruction. So, asymmetric information management, this whole technique is trying to get you to talk more, but then you don't want to talk so much that you talk yourself into being guilty. Their totally correct assumption here is that providing more information will make it a lot easier for them to detect the lie, so instead they provide less information. So if the person is not sharing a whole lot, what are they hiding? I often see this amongst politicians. It's very obvious to see it amongst politicians, where they're asked a question or something and they don't give a very detailed response. they convolute the issue, they answer a totally another question, or it's very short answers. Very rarely do you get a long, detailed answer to the question being asked. And that's a telltale sign you're being lied to. If you're just joining us, we have a very cool Jimmy Rants here today because we're looking at brand new research looking into this thing called AIM, stands for Asymmetric Information Management. It is a technique for catching someone if they are lying, and this can be handy all throughout life. And you'll probably catch yourself using this now when you're watching television and you're seeing public health officials and everybody and their mama, or you might use it when you're visiting family this week and someone's being asked a question and they're not being real forthcoming, and yeah, it's going to come in handy. So this asymmetry in the responses from liars and truth tellers, from which this AIM technique derives its name, suggests two very clear conclusions. When using the AIM instructions, which remember, the instructions are provide longer, more detailed statements about the event of interest so we can better detect if you're telling us the truth or not. Okay? Then the investigators presented with a potential suspect providing lots of detailed information, they're likely to tell the truth. In contrast, if the potential suspect is lying, then the investigator would typically be presented with shorter statements. So they did an experiment for this study. And in the study experiment, they wanted to see how effective this approach is, that you give the instructions to give us long, detailed answers to like what happened. And the longer the answer, the more detailed the answer, the more truthful it is, and the shorter the not. So they in the study recruited 104 people, and they were sent on one of two covert missions to different locations in a university to either retrieve and or deposit some intelligence material. All of the interviewees in this experiment were then told there had been a data breach while they were gone. They were therefore now a suspect and would be facing an interview with an independent analyst. They were therefore having to go in front of someone that's going to question them. So now it's truth or dare time. It's truth or am I lying time. Half of them were told to tell the truth about their mission so they can convince the interviewer that they were innocent. The other half, remember there's 104 people in this study. The other half were told they could never disclose any information about their mission and that they have to come up with a cover story about where they had been at the time and place of the breach in order to convince this analyst of their innocence. So they were then interviewed, and this AIM technique, and those of you that came in late, AIM stands for Asymmetric Information Management. It's a technique about questioning and asking for very detailed information about what you saw and heard and da-da-da. And the longer the answer and the more detailed the answer, the more truthful it is. The shorter, the less truthful it is. So when this technique was used, it was easier for the interviewer to spot the liars. In fact, lie detection accuracy rates increased from 48% using just like polygraph and like human lie detector. These investigators do a lot of these things, and so they can detect when someone is lying. That's 48% to 81% with truth tellers giving more information. Research is also exploring methods for enhancing this AIM technique. Now listen to this, using cues that may support truth tellers to provide even more information. Recalling information can be difficult, and truth tellers often struggle with their recall. Remember, if you're telling the truth, you've got lots of information. You just need to have your memory jogged, and then boom, you can say more details. But if you're having to make up details, you just kind of fumble all over yourself, and you're trying to hold back information because you're trying to conceal that you're lying. It makes logical sense here. And why this hasn't really been looked at in greater detail before now, I don't know. But it is fascinating that looking at this for a variety of purposes, obviously in law enforcement and investigations and things like that, it's very helpful. But just in your day-to-day life, it's helpful to know if someone's lying to you or not. Memory tools are known as mnemonics. They may be able to enhance this process. Listen to this, you guys. For example, if a witness of a robbery has provided an initial statement and cannot recall additional information, investigators could use a change perspective mnemonic. In other words, they could ask the witness to think about the events from the perspective of someone else. What would a police officer have seen had they been there? This can now elicit new, previously unreported information from memory. Because if you don't remember in the moment because you're anxious or for some other reason, it's just being hidden in your head, but you have a memory, you saw, you have the facts and the truth on your side. If you're able to have your memory jogged with this new perspective, then perhaps you're able to come up with something new in details. But if you're lying, that's not going to be triggered, and it's going to become very obvious. So if this is the case, the new technique could be even more accurate at being able to detect verbal differences between truth tellers and liars. Is this fascinating, you guys? Like, when I read this study and the details of what they did, I'm like, this makes total sense. So either way, the method is an ethical, non-accusatory, and information gathering approach to interviewing. The AIM instructions are simple to understand, easy to implement, and they appear promising with lots of uses. While initially tested for use in police suspect interviews, such instructions could be implemented in a wide variety of settings, even insurance claim settings, and I would say any setting of your life. Because if you suspect, and those of you that are parents, maybe you use this technique and you never even realized you were using the AIM technique. But if you want to know, are your kids telling you the truth? Tell them to give a detailed information about what the truth is. And if they keep their answers short, they might be lying. It's kind of cool. I like this idea. Now, the only kind of thing to this is, what if people are fearful, even though they know the truth is on their side? And I'm just playing devil's advocate with their research, especially like a minority group. What if they feel like, well, if I say anything I say can and will be used against me in a court of law, even though they know they're innocent? There's the distrust of the person doing the questioning. I wonder what role that would play in this, because in that scenario, they would keep their answer short, not wanting to trigger anything in like the law enforcement officer who might be questioning them. I'm just trying to think I'm trying to poke holes in this theory a little bit, that would be a confounding variable that could change things. And so you couldn't just jump to the conclusion that those guys are suddenly lying. No, they're just trying to save their own hide because they fear the people doing the questioning. That's kind of a thing. Are there any other kind of devil's advocate responses to this? I would love to hear what you guys think about that. But what do you think about this AIM technique? Do you think it holds promise? And do you think it has validity? Like, push back on this if you think it's bunk. I think it makes sense at a conscious level of, okay, yeah, if someone's providing a lot of details and they're providing a lot of information, that makes sense. They must be telling the truth. And if they tend to stick to short answers, what are they hiding? It seems elementary. It seems almost commonsensical. But common sense is not always common, as we well know. But I want to see what you guys have to say. We're going to come here first to Instagram, then over to Twitch if anybody has a question over there. Thank you guys for being here. Then over to Facebook, finally over to YouTube. Thank you all for being here today on Jimmy Rants. JimmyRants.com is the website. Any truth tellers or liars out there? If you're a liar, try to lie to me. Let's just... I can't do it in the written word. See, that's the other limitation of this. It's only the spoken word. You can't tell if someone's lying to you in the written word. Although I guess you could indirectly. I don't know. Tone of voice also has to play a bit of a role. Although you can't always, question like a quiver in the voice. If someone's nervous, a quiver could be there. I don't know. Lots of questions. Kat says, I just lied to my husband. Oh, is that an admission here today on Jimmy Rants? Hey, Kat, Kat's husband, you just got lied to. Decided to reorganize school and office supplies, and he asked if nobody's messing with his office like he knew I was in there. But it will be perfect later. Don't mess with that man's office. That's his domain. I'm going to get you in trouble, Kat. Joshua says, I failed a polygraph once. They said nervousness did not affect the results. Oh, that's all it is a nervousness anxiety test. So that's bogus. It didn't affect the results. I was crazy anxious, found out that many people actually fail polygraphs without the intent to lie. Yeah, I've never been a fan of polygraph tests. And like I said, putting a tack in your shoe and pushing it down when you're answering a question. Yeah, that's not a very reliable test. Cariana says, I've learned to pay attention to that queasy feeling I get with someone. It's never been wrong, but doesn't work as well if you're not face to face, or if you don't know the person as well as maybe someone in your life. So that's interesting. I do think a sixth sense does exist, that when you kind of just get this weird feeling about people, that does exist, and that can play a role in your perception if they're lying to you or not. But again, that's just a hunch. This AIM technique with that sixth sense, it could work hand in hand. And of course, investigators that are used to interrogating people, they've got all of the skills and the experience of doing that with so many people. They also pick up on mannerisms and patterns and shifty eyes and sweating and just little things they catch after a while. What was that TV show? There was a TV show called Lie to Me. Remember that TV show? I think it was on CBS several years back now. And they were talking about like little twitches in the eye and little dimple and like a little smirk and all those little expressions, those micro expressions that if you're not paying attention, you miss. And so they're like taping these people while they're interrogating them, and they go back in slow motion, watch all the tape. Oh, see, we asked that question, and did you see that little quiver in the side? And I think all these things are really fascinating, and along with this AIM technique could be very interesting in trying to help, especially law enforcement, determine if a suspect is lying or telling the truth. Joshua says, I'm going to keep all this in mind with my kids, LOL. Yes. Hey, I think it could work. Like those of you that have kids, and of course, a lot of you that have kids, you kind of know your kids pretty well. And like how they tick, and you can tell when they're lying to you. Not always. Not all parents are astute like that. But the ones that care and the ones that are involved in their kids' lives, yeah, you know. Some people just don't like to talk very much. Well, that is a confounding variable as well. But if you give the specific instructions, that the more details you give us, the better it will be that we can determine what the truth is here. That's the instructions of the AIM technique. And so if you tell them that, then maybe if they're trying to not be prosecuted or whatever, they'll sing like a bird if they're telling the truth. Whereas if you're lying, you got, oh crap, like I can't come up with a whole lot of things because then I have to remember all those things and I can't possibly remember. I don't know. Brittany says, I don't know when my abuser would lie to and manipulate our family with elaborate lies to convince us of truth, almost like he used this thought process in reverse. Ooh, I didn't even think about that. It would lie to and manipulate our family with elaborate lies. But I guess if you had to repeat those lies over and over and over again, maybe when you're so pathological as a liar, you can remember lies over and over and over again, because we do know those people that if you tell a lie often enough, you start to believe it. Maybe somebody like your abuser lied so much that it became their new truth. That would definitely be an interesting area of development for these AIM researchers. Thank you for that, Brittany. Having that experience in my life has made me a human lie detector. I can typically see through fakery. Yeah, don't try to fake Brittany. She will catch you every single time. And I'm never fake with her because of that very reason. Yeah, that's cool. Kat says, I always sense lies because of violin classes I was doing for 7 years. I feel how voice goes to higher, and many people can hear that and will call it intuition. When somebody's nervous, it's different. Oh, that's interesting. See, I love those people that have that kind of ear where they can hear tone difference and be able to determine when someone's just nervous and when someone is truly having to make something up and the tone is different. Joshua says, I'm a terrible liar. The only time I ever lied convincingly was when I was super ashamed of what I had done. Some people seem to believe their own lies. Yeah, a lot of people believe their own lies. I think if you say a lie and you get away with it, and you're like, hey, I'll tell it again. And you get away with it again. And you tell a lie, the same lie again, and you get away with it again. You're like, by golly, this is true now. Even though it was never true to begin with, because the lie was out there and unchallenged, and it's been allowed to repeat over and over and over again, unchallenged, it becomes new truth. So that is another little confounder in this research that I think these AIM guys need to kind of tease out. How do you tease that out? I had to calibrate violin before every class twice a week and for 7. Wow. I've always wanted to play violin, Kat. Maybe I'll have you teach me someday. Thank you, Instagram. Let's pop over here now. Doesn't look like anybody on Twitch. I see you guys watching on Twitch, so thank you for being here, you guys. If you have some comments about this topic we're talking about, this is my show, Jimmy Rants. You are the new kid on the block. Appreciate you guys being here. But ask your question in the chat room, and I'll be happy to bring you guys in on the show. I'm going to pop over here now to my Facebook page, see what you guys have to say on this one. I could be screwed with this technique. Sometimes go into story mode, says Mandy. Just telling the truth, that is. Well, no, I don't know if that would screw you over, because the longer your story and the more detailed the story, that's someone telling the truth. And so I thought it was saying if people gave a full story, they were thought to be lying. I think when someone is instructed to give lots of details so that we can get to the bottom of what the truth is, yeah, sorry for the confusion, but no, you would definitely be in the category of telling the truth, and your long story would definitely confirm that. So sorry if I confused you when I was reading it, but yeah. Shorter answers means you're lying. Longer answers means more likely than not that you are telling the truth. And then I would love it, like they send them home and then they come back, the longer answer ones, and see, can they regurgitate all those same long answers again? And if they can't, that would be an interesting follow-up study to the one that they did. All right, thank you, Facebook. I see Shirley and Ann both said hi, but no comments over on YouTube. YouTube, you letting me down lately. You guys usually engage pretty good and get some great comments, but I'm not seeing any comments. Oh well. But yeah, guys, lying, it's kind of cool, this technique. So look it up and look for more studies on the AIM technique. Again, if you joined us late, Asymmetric Information Management is what AIM stands for. And it's all about instructing them, give me details so we can get to the bottom of this. And if they give details and they're vivid details and they're able to go into lots of different areas, and I would say, and replicate those answers at a different time, then you're pretty sure that person's telling the truth. I love the whole mnemonics where they can say, put yourself in someone else's position, and what would they see? And it would be, again, details. But shorter answers and unable to recall those answers that they gave, definitely a telltale sign that someone is lying. Hope this was interesting to you guys here today. And that's it for this episode of Jimmy Rants. JimmyRants.com is the website. And as always, engage live in the content. We're right here on the Instagram page for Jimmy Rants. It is Jimmy Rants. Go check us out. We're there Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. Eastern Time. If you missed the live, we do have it on replay for you on IGTV, as well as over on YouTube. We also simulcast across the board here on Twitch is the new kid on the block. Thank you guys for watching. Facebook over here and on YouTube. And then finally, pop on over to the official website for this show, JimmyRants.com. See all the past episodes there. And just a reminder, if you like more content, and I've got lots of content that I produce, and I got a lot more coming in January, be sure to go over to YouTube today at 4 p.m. They have a brand new feature on YouTube that lets you premiere new videos. And so I have a brand new episode of my new podcast I do with my friend Brittany, who's on here, called One Step Deeper. So we have episode 4 today, and it's all about being around people when you don't really like them. And so a lot of you guys are going to go see some family for the holidays. And so this is a very, very timely podcast that we have. So we will be premiering that on YouTube at 4 p.m. today. So if you go over, type in One Step Deeper as a keyword search over on YouTube, you'll find the show. And then be there at the premiere, and Brittany and I will be interacting with you as you're watching this episode as it airs. If you can't be there at the premiere, it's all good. You can watch it later on YouTube. And it was a great episode. I hope you guys do check it out. But guys, tomorrow is Christmas Eve, and I have another article here about plant-based foods and how consumers think that means the food is clean and it's got great ingredients and it's got kind of a health halo. We're going to talk about that tomorrow on Jimmy Rants, because it's just not true. And then on Thursday, because it's Christmas Eve and we're not going to do a show on Friday, Christmas Day, we'll do Ask Me Anything on Thursday. So thank you for being here today on Jimmy Rants. And until tomorrow at 11 a.m. Eastern, we'll see you then. All right.